What's up, everyone? It's Jason Lipschutz from Billboard, and welcome to our first episode of Billboard Book Club, powered by Talk Shop Live. We're hanging out with the icon, the singer, the songwriter, the New York Times best-selling author, Geri Halliwell Horner, also known as Ginger Spice from the Spice Girls. And we are talking about her new book, her fantastic new book, Rosie Frost, Ice on Fire. Geri, thank you so much for joining us. I'm so happy to have you here.
Oh, it's a pleasure to be here. I love a book club. You know, getting into the bones of a book and really dissecting it, whatever the book is. So it's an absolute honor and a thrill to be sharing my own book with you guys.
So happy to have you. Before we get started, we want you to know at home, when you order right now on Billboard and Talk Shop Live, the book will be signed by Geri. So you will want to get yours today. Just press the shop button or comment the word shop if you're watching on Facebook or Instagram to receive a link in your DMs to purchase. I'm going to remind you guys that a couple more times, but before that, let's talk about this book. So Rosie Frost, Ice on Fire, this is the sequel to the first Rosie Frost book, and I would love for you to bring viewers who are unfamiliar with the series up to speed. I love this story, but bring people into this world and bring us up.
So Rosie Frost, she is sent to a school on Bloodstone Island. Bloodstone Island is like Jurassic Park, but instead of dinosaurs, it's endangered animals. And the school, Heaverbridge, it was built 500 years ago by Queen Elizabeth I in honor of her mother, Anne Boleyn, who had her head chopped off. And she had these amazing values, Anne Boleyn did, about reform. She was smart. So all these kids that go there are polymaths. They have talent in all areas. And some of them are descendants from the Tudors, from Henry VIII, from all his wives. All sorts of kids have gone to this school. 500 years later, Rosie Frost is sent there when her mother dies. And Book 2, she finds out her mother was murdered and she's full of grief. She questions who murdered her mother. She wants to know and she's really angry. And so number 2 is really about revenge and really asking for answers and that ricochet of revenge. So it's quite dark, but then there's pockets of humor and love in there, which we'll get to. Whatever age you are, it kind of pushes your buttons.
So many fun set pieces and fantastical characters. And, you know, this obviously isn't the first book you've written.
No.
What inspired you to kind of dive into this world?
Okay, so I love books. I just love them. They've been my best friends, my companion, you know, and I've worked things out through story. Whether it's, you know, story, you can tell storytelling in movies, in music, and in books. And I always love to find myself in a story and process something. And I just thought, you know what? I really want to see a new female character that really connects with us, who we are now, and someone that is not perfect and finding the courage you never knew you had. You know, this is full of modern day characters. You know, the girls save the boys, but the boys cry, but they're not wet wipes. You know, they're still, you know, they're just well-rounded. They're brave enough to show their feelings. And I thought that was really important to do that. And, but then it's entrenched. If you're a curious mind, like me, you know, there's history in there, the conservation, it lightly touches on there, but then it's full of adventure at the same time. If you just want a page turn, it's got that for you.
I love that. Was this always conceived of as a series? Because obviously, you know, you get started on the first one. The first one is a big undertaking. Was it always then idea of like, oh, there will be a sequel?
I remember when I started this journey, I always thought, yeah, I want to make a trilogy. I want to create a world, but character-led first, and it's a trilogy. That was my ambition for this. And yeah, so I am on book 3.
You're already writing.
Oh yeah. So you just, and the book 1, you're creating the world, you're developing characters, and then you sort of find the shape and the form of it. So yeah.
That's amazing. So we want to get to some fan questions. Thank you guys for for writing
This
in.
is so exciting. Can I just say, this is a dream come true. Absolute dream come true for me. To conceive an idea, to visualize it in your mind, and then it to be realized, and then fans are connecting with it. It's like, it's amazing. I'm really, really grateful.
Well, and before I get to the fan questions, one of the things I was going to ask was just, you have performed in front of thousands of people. You have sold millions of records. But to have a piece of writing, and you've obviously, like I said, written books before, but to launch a new series, like how gratifying is it to see people like reading this and absorbing it and connecting with it emotionally?
I cannot tell you. It's a wonderful feeling. I feel really proud that I've had the opportunity to do this, and I have been supported to do this. Amazing publishers that have gone, yeah, we believe in you. We believe in Rosie. We're going to support you on this path. And other writers have, shared their experience with me, because I was like, oh my God, this is one big adventure for myself. The values of Rosie Frost, have courage, united we stand, even when you're afraid. I've had to find those values within myself to actually do to make this happen. So I am truly, truly grateful. But actually, the point of this book, if I'm really honest, it was, adventure, heart, but also it was for those that wanted to connect and feel empowered. If you ever felt bullied, or if you wanted to find the truth within yourself, you kind of process that as well. That's the point.
I love that. No, it's and people have been connecting with this series. So we have some fan questions. So Carol, shout out to Carol.
Hello, Carol.
Has two questions for you.
Okay.
Will you be making a movie or TV show adaptation of this series? Is this something that you've thought about?
Well, I always, as I write, I always thinking pictures. I can't help it. And yeah, there are some exciting,
some developments.
Yeah, the exciting developments, and I really look forward to sharing them.
That's incredible. Carol's follow-up question is, who would you want to play the lead character? Is there like a dream cast?
As I write, I'm always thinking about, it makes it easier to visualize who that person is. And so the lead, I kind of saw her as, originally in my mind, the real sort of honesty and likability, as a young Drew Barrymore.
Oh, yeah.
In Ever After, or a bit of Lindsay.
Yeah.
A little bit of that. And then a little bit of Max in Stranger Things.
Oh, yeah.
A little bit of that, but I would say Drew Barrymore, that sort of, you want to be her friend, and she's really vulnerable, but she's brave at the same time. And I think that's an honest character that you want to be friends with. That's who I saw her to be. And then, with an English accent.
Of course. And you're rooting for her the whole time.
Yeah, I think it's really important to care about the character, whatever the adventure, because no matter how big the adventure is, if you don't care about that character, who cares?
Yeah.
Who cares?
So Christine says, have your kids read the book yet? What do they think?
I have to say I am so delighted to be able to, hand a book over to my children. My eldest daughter, she's read it, and she studies English literature, so it's really nice. And actually, but if I'm honest, this book is for everyone. My husband's read it. It's for, it's for grown men too. I did it on purpose.
Right here.
For
Let's
you.
go.
Yeah,
Rosie Frost fan.
It is a page turner. When they say YA, actually YA is for everyone. And it's, it's for any gender too. It really, you'll find yourself in all of the characters. It's not exclusive.
I love that. We have one more fan question for now from Blake. Is it true that you are actually signing the copies of the book we buy today? Blake, I can answer that one. She is signing these copies. You got to order now.
Yeah, I've signed them.
Remember, you can purchase Rosie Frost Ice on Fire by clicking the shop button on Talk Shop Live, or comment the word buy on Facebook and Instagram for a link to order. Actually, we have one more fan question coming in for now. You mentioned the bullying aspect. The character Rosie Frost was bullied. Olivia wants to know, did you experience bullying when you were younger?
Yeah, I mean, bullying can show up in different ways.
Yeah.
And it can be at any age. And in Rosie 1, there's 4 rules, and I think they're tools to find your power. And in Rosie 2, it's, she's 14 and it's the age of power. And it really is, okay, I always call it turning that poop to fertilizer. It's like, do you know what? I'm going to use all that experience that I've had when I felt, less than or unsure. I'm going to turn it. We're going to change it. And so you watch the journey of Rosie doing that. And actually, in each book, you get music. You scan for the music, and it's just for the readers only. You can't get it anywhere else. So you scan it. And there's a song in Rosie Ice on Fire called Older Now. Mm-hmm. It's in the back of the book. And actually, Jackson sings a song. I'm singing the song in it, but actually it's Jackson's song, and he sings it. And it's talking about, I'm finding my way. And it's very, very exposing, vulnerable song about growing up, when I think I've got all the answers, but sometimes we lose it on the way. And I think that's part of growing up, and we pull each other over the wall.
I want to ask. I want to skip to that song, which is just beautiful and,
Did you
and
listen
devastating.
To it?
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
that's so nice.
How did that song come together? Obviously, you've done this before, but in terms of this one, just the inspiration for the song and why you thought it kind of tied into.
I wrote the lyrics for that song. I was in a hotel room by myself, and I wrote those words. Just came out of me. I lost all the seeds I was sowing. How many times have we had a dream? It's so easy to happen. All of us have a dream, and then we get distracted or we get doubtful. And then suddenly go, what am I doing this for? And it doesn't, I promise you this, it doesn't matter how old you are, whether you are 14 or 40 or 80, we can all get lost along the way. And it's only through age you go and you gather a little bit of confidence and experience. And sometimes we borrow it from each other. And so that song is really just saying that. I don't know all the answers, but, sometimes I'm older now and think, oh, okay, it's okay.
Can you talk about how creatively satisfying it is to create these songs for the book series versus, creating them for an album or...
Yeah, what I wanted, this is a book club.
Yeah.
And we know that when you read, there's something really special because it's your imagination. It's our imagination together. And so I thought, can we reward each other that this music right now is just for us in our book club?
I love that idea though of creating like a safe space where you could be like, hey, if you like the book, if you are into the story, here is the song that accompanies and kind of fleshes out the world.
Right now. This is our book club. This is something that we can process together. I kind of like it that it's special. That's why, I just kept it within the book. We scan it, we process it, that's it.
Yeah. When did you create the song?
I started, how long ago did I start thinking the idea, my imagination way back for the book at the same time? So back in 2014, I started thinking the beginnings of the book, and I've always loved writing, whether it's word or through song. Yeah. They're just different forms of communication, but the same thing, the power of the word.
I'm curious just in terms of is it something where it's like you create a song like that for this book, and it's like kind of like, okay, this is for this is special, or are you the type of like artist that kind of gets like that, you scratch that itch and you're like, I kind of want to write some more songs, you kind of like
A bit of both, I can do a bit of both. Like I can write a song and then I might change it to bend it into this story. You know, I think I'd written the song and I thought it needs just a little bit of changing so it fits a little bit more. But to have the space to be able to play and do this, it's just, I'm incredibly grateful.
How different is your creative process for, writing a song, writing like sitting down to write fiction?
I've written songs has always been different as well. Sometimes I've gone into, a dictaphone or a voice note on your phone. You can just sing into it or write lyrics. And I just get an idea, or I write it on a scrap of piece of paper. Writing a story, you can just suddenly go off on an adventure, onto the page. Or what I'm learning is to do structure, which actually has served me better. It's like just having a spine and really flushing out the characters and their motivation. I call it iceberging. You don't see it, but you know it. So it gives you confidence on the page.
So
like
cool.
Why that character is behaving like such a...
I can picture you like getting mad at your characters.
Yeah, I love
as you
doing
write
the
them.
characterization. I would say that's one of my favorite bits.
That's amazing. Let's take some more viewer questions. So we got a couple, questions that are related to Spice Girls, but also related to the book.
Yeah,
so,
okay, go for it.
Okay, so thank you to everybody who's been sending in questions as well. Mary wants to know, does your ginger spice persona have any similarities to Rosie Frost?
Or hair colour, it's obvious. I would say there's sort of, when I make characters, it's almost like being a chef. So I might take, for example, Bina. She's Rosie's friend. And I literally took one girl that I know, a little bit of her, and then this other girl that I know, a little bit of her. I know a girl that likes wrestling, and you'd think I would never have guessed it, that she would do that. And then the other girl is an absolute perfectionism in her studying. Put them together. It was a little bit of... So I'm always taking pieces. You can't help it but put yourself in bits of pieces as well. My favourite character, I have to say, is Ottilie. Because I just think she is a slay, and there's so much. I mean, all the characters, I like to think they are real and alive and well-rounded. They're three-dimensional. There's goodness in all of us, and sometimes a little bit of bad. And Ottilie, you think she's one thing, and then she becomes another, and goes on that arc, and you unpack her a little bit, and you're like, oh my God, you're amazing. And she steps up. You just wait what happens, in Ice on Fire. She absolutely slays.
Yeah.
She's smart as anything. And don't we all put on, we all have our kind of, I call them Batman suits, with all her, giving it all that.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool.
I mean, there's a bit in it when she goes, Rosie says to her, why are you such a mean girl? And she goes, well, that's my brand. And she's like, and then Rosie's like, well, maybe you need to, maybe that's a brand. Maybe that isn't so good. Maybe you need to get a rebrand.
Yeah.
But underneath, she's good. It's just, what she's had to, the cards that she's been dealt with. When you find out what her mother was like to her, and then you see her champion, others and come through. You're like, I really admire that when you have to sort of unpick someone and find something different.
Yeah, that's awesome. So we got a couple questions. One is from Sophia about the last time the Spice Girls, the other Spice Girls have talked to you about the books. Obviously, you've written different books over the years. Like, have they read? Have their kids read? Have you gotten any feedback? We got a couple questions about that.
I've sent them books, I don't go, have you read it?
Yeah.
I mean, they're commitments, aren't they?
Yeah.
But generally, when people have read the books, I've had really lovely feedback, and it's just such a gift. And like there's this little girl called Zelda, and she's like, tell me what's going to happen next. And she's young, or there's an older lady, she's in her 50, 60, she's about in her 60s, so it's a massive age gap. And she's saying, I don't like that Hemlock. He's awful. And it's really funny, the reaction.
Yeah.
It really is. It's such a nice feeling.
That's amazing. So thank you to everybody who's sending in questions. Keep sending in your questions. Also to everyone watching, once again, you can purchase Rosie Frost, Ice on Fire by clicking the shop button on Talk Shop Live, or comment buy on Facebook and Instagram for a link to order. So let me get back to our interview, because I want to drill down a little bit on your creative process, because it's so interesting to me in terms of like what you described of these kind of thoughts come to you in kind of bits and pieces, and then you write them down. But like, it's so interesting to me the difference between like putting together a couple lines for a verse and a chorus versus creating this whole world in your mind and then kind of emptying it onto the page. When you started writing books, and you before Rosie Frost, you wrote children's books, you wrote an autobiography, like what was that? Was it just like climbing a mountain for you?
Anyone that's written a novel or any kind of book, I just go, bravo. It is a big commitment, and wow, for me, I was like, oh my goodness. And it took me a real long time, and I'm still learning now, to the art of it, the technique to it, but the process of it. And there isn't a right or wrong way. It was other authors said to me, write like the premise,
like an
outline, structure,
Yeah.
Bit by bit by bit, this happens. And you can always change it.
Yeah.
And that actually has given me a faster process. I felt like on book one, I just went for it. I was so excited. And I've said it before, it was William Boyd. He wrote Only Human Heart. He's like the maestro of writing. And he said to me, you need to write it all again. Because I asked him for an opinion. He said, write the whole story again, but in the third person.
I read that, yeah.
And in the past tense. And I was like, because when you do it in the I and in the present, you sort of back yourself into a corner. It's easier to do it in the past tense. So I was just learning. And also to remember what you've written. And I felt like I was fixing it. It was harder this way. But I have to say, I always have my ending. Like, I already know what that ending is for book 3. I've already seen the exact moment what that ending is. I know what it is. I mean, you can have some deviation of how you get there, and sometimes you surprise yourself. And then another author said to me, and I read it in Stephen King, he said, kill your darlings.
Yeah.
Someone must die. Someone must die. It always, to make you feel, oh, no. And then there must be love in there. There must be joy. And because I'm, as a reader myself, I want to feel like satisfied. So I feel like if you're going to pick up this book, I want you at the end of it to feel like uplifted and connected. Otherwise, I feel I owe it to you if you're going to commit your time to it. Does that make sense?
Totally makes sense.
Otherwise, haven't we all read books and gone, oh, God, this is... When we're reading a story and we're just page turning, but then sometimes you don't want it to get... You're almost putting the brakes on it because you don't want it to end. Tomorrow. That was happening to me. I was slightly bereft.
I love that book. It was so sad. Oh.
Yeah, I was like, and who thought I was going to connect with some characters that are about gaming?
Right.
And so I think the best books are never just about the theme of, the background, the landscape. It's so much more. And I think that's where you get it right. And for me, that's why I think character first. Care about, connect with that character. And it doesn't matter what age you are, you're going to connect. Whether that person's going to live, die, cry. If you're a real, story lover, character lover, you're going to find it in yourself in there.
I love that. I'm curious in terms of, you mentioned this as a trilogy. Do you see yourself just continuing, like, long term, writing more YA, more books, more, or just kind of see, I don't know if you've thought that far ahead, but like, is this something that you really think of, like, okay, like I'm in it, I'm learning the tools, and now I want to do this?
So. I mean, like, I have to sort of anchor myself down as well, because I'm one of those that my brain can jump and go, I want to do that and I want to do that. Like, I've always had an idea for a younger story. I've got an idea. But I think, no, stop. You've got to finish, get into this, commit. I feel like a loyalty to this world, to Rosie. I have to. And then, I always have other ideas. And then maybe a much older audience. I've got a little idea thinking, that could be good.
Oh,
but I think everything in its time. And the other thing is, because Rosie, as I'm doing number 3, it flushes out the backstory of what really happens. So that gives you scope to go back or forward.
Yeah.
So you could.
The last question, but I have before we get to, I can't wait for you to read an excerpt and present Rosie Frost Ice on Fire to everybody. As a recording artist, as a performer, you inspired and empowered so many young people and so many listeners and so many fans. And now you're doing that, a generation later in a totally different medium. Like, what has that been like in terms of, this is a very inspiring story, once again. What has it been like to kind of speak to, young fans again and really kind of motivate them in a positive way?
I think that message of hope, or if I can see it, I can be it. I always try and infuse any creative outlet I do, because that's what happened for me, whether it was through movies, music, books. And so it's always there with me. And to be able to have the opportunity and the space to do writing and to share it with the world, and for it to be so well received, I'm like, oh my God, I'm incredibly grateful. This is amazing. Because I tell you what it is with writing, it's very vulnerable. It's like, when you share your heart with someone and you say, I like you, or this is how I feel, with a friend, and you've been vulnerable.
Yeah.
And when it's reciprocated, it's a beautiful thing. Yeah. It's a really nice feeling. But I think, it says to me out there, no matter what your dream is, go for it. Dream big, or dreams, whatever it is. If you want to work in a zoo, or you want to become, head of, a big empire, it doesn't matter. Your dream is your dream.
I like that. I'd rather work in a zoo.
Okay, a zoo is good.
Done and done.
There you go.
Geri, this has been wonderful. And so we would love it if you could read us something from Rosie Frost, Ice on Fire, while we are live.
Okay, so I thought I'd pick some. Okay, so I thought I'd pick something that's quite simple, that doesn't spoil the actual story. There's no spoilers, really.
I was very careful to not spoil anything. I was trying.
I think, So, but I tell you, this is quite just a simple moment in the story where, so Rosie, she diaries a lot and does letters. She used to do it to her mum, but she's suddenly come to the conclusion, my mum has passed. There's acceptance in that. And she's just trying to process of what's going on. And this is that moment. And what's happened, she's just kissed someone, okay? And there's huge goings on in the island. Actually, there's these what's called sky crackles, and they're symptoms from a black hole.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really major stuff from on a conservation level. But she's just kissed someone. And that is dominating her thoughts.
That's front of mind.
That's front of
Listen.
mind. She's like, what? And I think, it doesn't matter who we are, what age, we can resonate with this. Okay.
Absolutely.
This is what she says. Okay, so it's chapter 29, Dear Someone. And it's Wednesday, February the 8th, 9 p.m., Hever Bridge School. So it's late at 9. She's like, here we go. Dear Someone, that kiss. The kiss. The second chance kiss with Jackson. Stop it, Rosie Frost. The sky is falling and you're thinking about a kiss? Did it really happen? Stop it. We haven't said anything about it since. Don't think about it. Help me, someone. I've got to get my head straight. The ground is breaking apart. No one is listening to me. Churchill is too busy schmoozing the Imperial Council. Adults can be so stupid. Someone on this island killed my mum and Colin. And they're just walking about. Questions. Who killed my mum if Hemlock didn't? That kiss. I wish I could tell my mum. It was electric, and it made me feel like a marshmallow inside. My mind goes fuzzy when Jackson is near me. Has he kissed someone else? Probably. More questions. Does Miss Churchill know who my dad is? Maybe that's what she's going to tell me. Why do I have to wait to find out? P.S. Sorry, last question. Jackson asked me to go to the exhibition with him. Is that like a date? Or just friends? P.S. I wonder if he's kissed loads of other girls. Sorry, I've asked that before. P.P.S. Last one. I've now done one Christmas and one birthday without my mum. Blowing out the candle is the moment you feel someone loves you no matter what. Your moment. God, I miss her.
That was amazing. Geri, thank you so much. I think really, if you're watching this, you get a sense of the spirit of this book series, and I can't say enough about it. So a huge congratulations
Thank you.
on Rosie Frost, both the series and as well as Ice on Fire. So thank you for joining us on Talk Shop Live. Don't forget to press the shop button or comment shop on Facebook or Instagram to receive a link in your DMs to purchase the book, which again will be signed by Geri. And once again, Geri Halliwell Horner, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much. And a big thank you to everybody out there, that has connected to Rosie Frost. This is a dream come true, and I hope she inspires you, whoever you are. Much love.